From Dirk Witte music store in Utrecht, the Netherlands, and today we are taking a look at a very interesting and very unique and rare Rickenbacker guitar from the 1970s. One that I personally had not ever seen before, not in real life nor online, so I didn't even know that this model existed. So yeah, this is kind of like one of the weird ones. This is kind of a weird model, but a very cool and interesting and unique model at that. This is a 1976 Rickenbacker 481 guitar with slanted frets. So you can see that all of the frets are at a slight angle. So they are all slanted at approximately 8 to 9 degrees. And yeah, then on like a Rickenbacker 4001/4003 body, but it is a guitar, and it is then also a bolt-on. This is one of the more unique models that you also do not see a whole lot. So yeah, there's a lot to dive into. So let's do that right now. So this model was in production from 1974 until 1984, I believe. 1973, excuse me, till 1984. So this is kind of like mid-production period. And I believe that actually Rickenbacker was one of the first manufacturers to actually use slanted frets. These are not fan frets, by the way, because fan frets are like, all of them are at like a different angle, like it kind of like goes at a curve, like this then kind of like goes so, if you will. But these are all at the same angle. And the idea behind this is that the slanted frets kind of like follow like the natural position of like your hand or of like your fingers, and it's also then probably in theory supposed to be like better for like power chords or something like that. There's some reasoning behind it, but at the same time it's also just so slightly different from like a normal playing experience. But it was kind of like daring and innovative for them to like have this on one of their models. Definitely a novel thing at the time, and actually still today. So yeah, let's dive then into the further specs of this very cool model. So like I said, it kind of like has a Rickenbacker 4001/4003 bass body style. So with that body shape. Note that bass was like really famously played by Paul McCartney, Lemon Kilmister, by Chris Squire of Yes, and many more. So this is a very iconic shape at that, but for a bass, so not so much for a guitar. It is a maple body, so we are featuring a two-piece maple body, obviously in a beautiful fire glow finish, looking really classic, with just some single ply binding around the top. You've also then got some like belly carving almost going on over here, as well as here at the bottom, and then the rest of the corners or like the edges are more slabby, if you know what I mean by that. But it is just a flat top, and it is completely solid. Again, as we can tell, bolt-on construction, also kind of unique to this model, and also like to 1970s Fenders. You've then got these non-original but made by Rickenbacker humbucker pickups. These are the Rickenbacker HB1, if I'm not mistaken. And these are non-original to this model. This model used to come with some other type of humbuckers that were like very large, almost kind of like Fender wide range humbucker size, with then like double rows of pole pieces, but they also came with just your toaster pickups. And given the routing, I'm guessing that this used to come with toaster pickups, but those have then been swapped somewhere in the past to these also very cool looking and very nice sounding mini humbucker type of pickups, also made by Rickenbacker. Obviously just a plain white pickguard, also very much Rickenbacker in style with your controls over here. That is also then like top routed and top installed. These are very simple, so you just got 2 volumes and 2 tone controls for each of your pickups. For your pickup, selector switch, and then this little switch right here is actually a kill switch. So that is also kind of unique to this model, and also actually kind of handy. Just got your original hardware for the rest of it. So original Rickenbacker bridge with your bridge cover, and also Rickenbacker R tailpiece, also very iconic look. And then we have got a 3-piece maple neck with a rosewood fingerboard, and this being a Rickenbacker, the fingerboard is also lacquered, so you've got a layer of nitro over the top of the fingerboard for that very iconic look and feel that is very synonymous to Rickenbacker guitars, with your shark tooth inlays and again your fanned frets, which yeah, like I said, doesn't make that huge of a difference. It does play differently, not like too majorly, but definitely noticeable. But you can just do your normal things really just fine. I didn't feel that like bends were a bit, yeah, a little bit of getting used to, but I'm guessing that if you like just play 1 gig with this or just spend a few hours with it, that you would get used to it pretty fast. Like I said, you know, the angle is just ever so slightly 8 to 9 degrees, so nothing major, but you know, again, very cool feature and unique to this model. So yeah, cool. Got the original Bakelite black nut and your very cool Rickenbacker headstock, also kind of like the 4001, 4003 style of headstock, but then for guitar. So also with your long Rickenbacker truss rod cover, with your made in USA stamped in there, as well as your model number. And then we've got on the back these Grover tuners, original Grover tuners that work really well. You do got some minor lines going on at the back of the headstock, but don't worry about that all too much. It's mostly cosmetic. And it doesn't cause any problems, but it is good to know. So yeah, all in all, very interesting model, pretty quirky, pretty weird, dare I say, but like in a very cool way. Like I said, I'd never seen this model before. Also, just apart from the frets, also the rest is just unique and kind of strange and unique and quirky, but in a very good way. It also just sounds actually really good. Not as jangly as some Rickenbackers tend to sound, so I would guess that would like come from the toaster pickups, and these are definitely not toaster pickups, and they do not sound as such, so do keep that in mind, but they do sound really good, as we will hear so in a minute. So let's move on to that part and let's hear what it sounds like. But first, if you're interested in this really cool 1976 Rickenbacker 481 slant fret electric guitar in a beautiful fire glow finish, be sure to head over to the links in the description for further details. If you enjoyed this demo, be sure to like the video and to subscribe to the channel for more cool weekly demos of cool vintage guitars like these, electric guitars, acoustic guitars, bass guitars even, all of that really cool stuff. Also be sure to like us and follow us on our socials, Instagram and Facebook. Links are also in the description. With all that being said, let's see what this really cool and very unique Rickenbacker electric guitar from the 1970s sounds like. Going to be playing it through the 1966 Marshall JTM Bluesbreaker style amplifier. First be playing the clean tones, and then I'll be playing the dirty tones, for which I will be using a non-horsey clone. So let's move on to that part and let's hear what it sounds like, and let's take it for a spin.
you.